Another fantastic weekend of college football is in the books. Here's how my top 25 looks after week 7 of the college football season. Another week, another Georgia victory. They took down Vanderbilt 37-20. I know that Georgia might not look like the best team in college football at the moment, but they keep on winning and they're one of a handful of undefeated teams remaining. Ohio State had yet another easy victory as they took down Purdue 41-7. This one was ugly as it looked like they were playing a Division IV school. Kyle McCord threw for nearly 300 yards with 3 passing touchdowns. Ohio State was missing nearly every running back, but they still combined to rush for 150 yards with 2 scores. This was also an impressive performance from the defense. They held Purdue to only 15 first downs and 3 of 17 on third down. They also held them to only 1 score for the entire game. Moving up to number 3, I got the Washington Huskies. This is a team I've been very high on all season, and they had quite the victory this weekend by pulling off the come-from-behind victory against number 8 Oregon. Michael Penix Jr. is now the Heisman frontrunner as he threw for 300 yards with 4 passing touchdowns. This was a crazy back-and-forth game that honestly could have gone either way, but what a statement victory for the Huskies. Florida State never had to worry in this one as they knocked off Syracuse 41-3. Jordan Travis threw for 300 yards and had 3 total touchdowns for the game. The Seminoles defense held the Orange to only 12 first downs and only 260 yards of total offense. Plus, they didn't allow the Orange to score a single touchdown. Another week, another very easy Michigan win as they knocked off Indiana 52-7. JJ McCarthy completed 14 of 17 passes and had 3 passing touchdowns. The defense looked fantastic yet again as they held the Hoosiers to only 230 yards of total offense with only 1 score. Michigan is now 7-0 on the season, but they have yet to play any good team up until this point. I mean, we're probably not going to see them have a tough opponent until a couple weeks from now when they finally play Penn State. After last weekend's thrilling victory, Oklahoma was off this week. Penn State had a cupcake as they took on UMass. Well, they beat them 63-0. Drew Aller had 3 passing touchdowns, while the Nittany Lions combined to have 4 rushing scores on the ground. They also combined to rush for 250 yards as a team. Meanwhile, for the defense, they held UMass to only 9 first downs, including 109 total yards. Nope, that's not a misprint. They held UMass to 109 total yards of offense. After last weekend's close loss, here's where I got Texas ranked. Speaking of close losses, I have Oregon not really dropping too much in the rankings. I mean, this was a game that was back and forth like I mentioned earlier, and they were just a couple plays away from escaping with the upset victory. Still, a loss is a loss, and this really hurts their national championship chances. With how competitive the Pac-12 is as well, this also hurts their Pac-12 title chances. Bo Nix did all he could as he threw for over 300 yards with 2 passing touchdowns. Meanwhile, on the ground, Bucky Irving rushed for over 125 yards with a rushing score as well. I mean, for the game, the offense had over 540 yards total offense, including 31 first downs. Usually, that'll be enough to win you a game, but not when you're playing the Washington offense. It wasn't pretty, but Alabama moved to 6-1 with a 3-point victory over Arkansas. It looks like this game was going to be over in the third quarter as Alabama had a comfortable 24-6 lead, but back-to-back touchdowns from Arkansas brought them right back in this game. Alabama still managed to hold on as they kept their SEC title hopes alive. Jalen Milroe threw for 240 yards with 2 passing touchdowns. Meanwhile, on the ground, the Tide rushed for nearly 200 yards as a team. Although Alabama hasn't really been all that exciting this season, they are still 4-0 in conference play. North Carolina picked up their 6th consecutive victory to start the season as they took down number 25 Miami 41-31. Drake May had another fantastic showing as he threw for nearly 300 yards with 4 passing touchdowns. Running back Omari Hampton had another 200-yard performance and had a rushing score as well. Meanwhile, Tez Walker, who was recently allowed to play by the NCAA, had arguably the best game of his entire career. He caught 130 yards with 3 receiving touchdowns. Oregon State knocked off number 18 UCLA 36-24. DJ Uiagalelei continues to impress for the Beavers as he threw for just under 300 yards with 2 passing touchdowns. Meanwhile, for the Beavers, their defense continues to impress as they were able to hold UCLA in check all game. Ole Miss didn't play this weekend, so here's where I got them ranked. After a rough couple of losses, Notre Dame bounced back with authority as they took down number 10 USC 48-20. Early on, it was looking like this would be yet another competitive Notre Dame USC game, but this turned out to be one of the biggest blowouts we've seen in this rivalry in recent memory. Sam Hartman only threw for 125 yards with 2 passing touchdowns. It's because of Notre Dame's defense that the offense didn't really have to do a whole lot in this game. I mean, overall, Notre Dame had only 13 first downs and 250 yards of total offense. If I would have told you that prior to the start of the game, you likely would have thought that USC would blow them out. But this Irish defense forced 5 turnovers, and they were able to capitalize on most of them. It's been an up and down season for Notre Dame, who's fallen out of the national championship conversation, but this was quite the victory for them. Before we get to the rest of my rankings, I'd like to share with you guys how you can win money and make the college football season even more exciting. I've partnered with Underdog Fantasy to bring you this amazing deal. If you download the Underdog app and use promo code Harris, they'll match your first deposit up to $100. Yep, they're giving you up to $100 of free money. So make sure to use promo code Harris for a 100% deposit match up to $100. You can make every game during the college football season that much more exciting. Plus, who doesn't want to win money while watching college football? Tennessee won a close one over Texas A&M as they beat them by 7 points. This was a back and forth contest all the way, and it looked like A&M might pull off the upset at the end, but Tennessee managed to hold on largely thanks to their defense. They held A&M to only 17 first downs and 277 yards of total offense. They also held the Aggies to only 54 yards on the ground. Texas A&M was 0 for 2 on 4th downs, and they had 2 interceptions. Another week, another massive showing from LSU's offense as they took down Auburn by 30 points. Jaden Daniels threw for over 300 yards with 3 passing touchdowns while adding 100 yards on the ground. For LSU, they had nearly 600 yards of total offense in this game. They also held Auburn to under 300 yards of offense, so the defense gets their flowers as well. Cameron Rising still isn't back for Utah, but they picked up the 20-point victory over Cal. Bryson Barnes got the start and threw for only 120 yards with no touchdowns. Utah won this game because of their rushing attack as they rushed for over 300 yards with 4 rushing scores. They were led by Sione Vaki, who had 150 yards with 2 scores on the ground. We're talking about a lot of Pac-12 teams this year, and rightfully so, but we haven't really talked about Utah. They're quietly 5-1 and ranked inside the top 15. Duke picked up the easy 24-3 victory over NC State. Backup quarterback Henry Bellin completed only 4 passes, but he threw for over 100 yards with 2 passing touchdowns. It was running back Jordan Waters who did most of the damage as he rushed for over 120 yards, averaging 10 yards a carry with a rushing score. Early on, it was looking like Missouri was going to lose this game, but they managed to come from behind for the easy 17-point victory. I mean, after falling behind 14-0 in the first quarter, they outscored the Wildcats 38-7 the rest of the way. Brady Cook had a quiet day as he threw for 160 yards with a passing touchdown. The Tigers didn't do a whole lot on the ground either as they rushed for only 118 yards as a team, averaging 3 yards a carry. It was Missouri's defense that won the game as they forced 3 turnovers. 14 penalties and 122 penalty yards from Kentucky also might have helped as well. I have USC falling this much, and you can make the case they should have fallen even more. They got embarrassed on the road at Notre Dame as they lost by nearly 30 points. Caleb Williams had the worst performance of his entire career as he didn't even throw for 200 yards. He also had 3 costly interceptions that looked like plays that a community college quarterback would have been making. Outside of him, nobody on USC really did anything at any point. I know USC technically only has 1 loss and they're still undefeated in conference play, but they have a tough hill to climb if they want to get back into the championship discussion. James Madison cracks my top 25 as they move to 6-0 after their 41-13 victory over Georgia Southern. Jordan McLeod threw for just under 300 yards with 3 passing touchdowns. This was an absolute beatdown in a game in which Georgia Southern was only a 5-point underdog. James Madison is now undefeated on the season, and they're one of only a handful of undefeated teams remaining. Speaking of undefeated teams, Air Force took down Wyoming 34-27. For the game, the Falcons rushed for over 350 yards with 3 rushing scores. This was a fun back and forth game, and this was a really good Wyoming team that came into Air Force. But they're now 6-0 on the season, and they continue to be one of the more surprising teams in all of college football this year. After a loss early in the season to Ole Miss, Tulane has responded nicely, and they're now 5-1 on the season after their 10-point victory against Memphis. Michael Pratt threw for nearly 300 yards and had a passing touchdown, while adding a touchdown on the ground as well. I know we kind of forgot about them after that loss a couple of weeks ago, but Tulane is making the case to be the best group of 5 team in all of college football once again this season. After climbing up to number 4 14 in the rankings, Louisville got blown out by Pittsburgh, losing by 17 points. The Cardinals actually had a 7-point lead at halftime, but they were outscored 24-0 in the second half. Jack Plummer did all he could as he threw for 350 yards with a passing touchdown, but the defense couldn't stop Pittsburgh in the second half, and the Pittsburgh defense held Louisville in check. Wrapping up my top 25, I have Iowa, who's now 6-1 on the season after their 9-point victory against Wisconsin. Having the Hawkeyes inside my top 25 seems gross, considering they're one of the worst offenses in all of college football. I mean, this past weekend, their quarterback Deacon Hill completed only 6 passes for 37 yards, but LaShawn Williams rushed for 175 yards, winning the game for Iowa with all of his production. Like I said, it feels disgusting, but Iowa is 6-1 on the season, and they've been one of the best teams in the Big Ten. Well, those are my top 25 teams after week 5. Was there a team I had ranked too high or ranked too low? Or was there a team that didn't crack my top 25 at all that should have been in here? Whoever it is, let me know in the comment section down below. Before you leave, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications if you're new to my channel. I'm posting college football videos all season, so make sure to subscribe so you never miss a video. Also, don't forget to drop a like on this video as well. It helps out with that YouTube algorithm and helps share the video with more college football fans. Plus, it only takes a second to do. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.